After that big fiasco, we're not going to be able to go on Facebook Live. I think Jamie goes on her phone and I don't know, who knows? But anywho, let's get started on distant sessions. So Jazz, do you do distant sessions?
Nope.
You don't, you haven't done them yet. Okay. And Darlene's working, so we're not going to be talking to her yet. Oh, yes, she has done distant sessions. So she's going to say yes to that. Anyway, so Jazz, can you just tell me maybe a little bit like why you haven't done any distant?
Because I don't have enough confidence right now that I feel like, I mean, I know there are people like I could, and I already have some people in mind, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure if I call someone and say, hey, I want to do Reiki on your hamster. And they're like, oh, great. And then nothing happens or something. And they're like, well, my hamster didn't do anything. You know, and I just feel like I don't have enough experience and confidence to know, hey, that's fine. You know, does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
So I tend to just practice. I don't even like doing it with other people around. Because again, although I've had positive experiences doing it myself, I get so self-conscious that I have a hard time going, you know, getting into the right space, and then it doesn't. I can tell it's not, you know, I'm not really in the proper energy or anything, and so I maybe that's just experience, but so I especially not being able to have a visual is hard. Not you know, and I admire anybody who could just discuss, and I'd love to, but I don't know how to start.
Well, then let's get you some confidence today and get you started, because I think that that's really natural for everyone to feel that way. Like I felt that same way. In fact, like even going into the shelter, I really got self-conscious if anyone came around when I was doing it, because you just feel really awkward. And if they don't see something right away, then you know, it's just hard to explain, right? And you just feel really uncomfortable. The good news is that, you know, you're a member of Sarah. So for people who aren't a member of Sarah, we try to empower our members as much as possible by giving them lots of tools. So Jazz, in our member document area, there is a PDF about how to prepare yourself, and then a PDF that you can give to your clients to tell them how to prepare. Because really what it is you have to set expectations, right? So it's very possible that when you're sitting and you're meditating and the animal, now we'll talk a little about this in a minute, the animal is definitely going to feel it. Whether or not they're showing some obvious outward sign, they're going to feel that connection. But for you and for the other humans, right, their parents, you need to set your own expectations and their expectations. And so for your own expectations, what I mean by that is you have to let go of all attachment to how this is going to look, because you want to be able to be in a nice, just solid meditative space without any thought to whether or not they're going to connect or not. Because I can guarantee you, the minute you say their name, you think about them, you go into your meditative space, they have felt you. And more often than not, they are going to connect. Now, they might not connect right away at first because you might be a stranger to them, and that's okay. You're just meditating, and we have to really mean it when we say, I'm going to meditate. You can take as much or as little as you want, right? We say it, but then our brains are like, but you need to take all of it because we need to have a result here, right? So, but we don't need to go there. Just say it and then do your meditation and forget it. Right? You've made that connection is there, it's open. If you'd like to think about the animal or picture them in your mind, that's really good. If you want to picture them happy, because we always want to have joy around our meditation, right? We always want to feel like happy when we connect and joyful, because you can imagine for the animal, if you're like, all right, we're going to connect, this is very serious. Or if you're like, hey, you know, Bluto, I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm going to do a meditation. This is just to help support you. And you can take as much or as little as you want. And you don't wait for an answer because we're not doing communication. And you just go into your meditation and you stay happy and you stay joyful, because animals will want to connect to that. So then on the other end, we have to set the expectation of the people. We have to ask that if they do ask for a session for their animal, that they are in a quiet space when that session is going on. Now, if for whatever reason it's at 3 o'clock and the kids are coming home from school, then make sure the animal is somewhere that's comfortable and away from the distractions. And then also isn't going to be upset that he's away from the distractions. Now, if it's 3 o'clock and the girls are coming home and there's no other place for the dog and the dog's going to be freaked out or the cat's going to be freaked out by hearing them, then just go ahead, because they will take it. They can do what we can't. They can relax amidst chaos. And, you know, unlike us, it would be really hard for us to meditate during chaos. But if they can, you need to set that expectation, right? You also set the expectation that what you are offering is meditation. You're not offering healing. What you're doing is supporting the animal. And when animals feel supported, then on their own, they can heal, or they can, I don't want to say heal, they can let go of like behavior things. They can start to relax so that they can heal faster, but they're on their own healing path. We're not healers, but we do add an emotional support, right? And that's really important to let them know that what we're offering supports them emotionally so they can start to let go of any baggage that they're hanging on to. Another thing is to tell the people that the animals should be allowed to move around. Because I have had one experience where the person was like, oh yeah, and I kept him because he wanted to get up. And I was like, no, oh, let the animal move freely, right? Just like when we do a session, want the animal to, you know, make sure there's water. If they eat food, if they free range, have their food close by so that the animal can feel free to come and go. And that's why when you're doing your meditation, sometimes you might feel an ebb and flow with the energy. And sometimes you might feel like, oh my gosh, did they leave? Don't worry about it. Just do your 30 minutes. Sit in your meditation, because you might not be sensitive enough to feel that ebb and flow, and you might think they've just stopped, but a lot of times they haven't. So again, you're setting the expectation with the person saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. They might move. That's totally fine. Just because I'm meditating and I'm going to be still and quiet, it looks different for them. They need that freedom, and they might sit and just stare off into space. That's relaxation. They might lay down. They might go to sleep. All of these are fine responses. But when you can set the expectations of the people, now all of a sudden, okay, they can kind of let go of, this is how this should look, right? And you can say it's a very free moving on their part, on the animal's part. It's very free moving. Now, after the session, or even before, you can say, you know, after the session, signs to look for are, let's say it's a dog. Is the dog less barky? If there's like a urination problem, do they, you know, have they stopped urinating in the house? Or, you know, all these things. You just want to say, hey, the problems that you're seeing, just make a note of it. And then after the session, please just make a note if you see any improvement. And it's really important after the session to say, you know, to ask questions. Oh, so what did the animal do? And let's say they said, oh, the animal like would go to the window and bark. And you can say, oh, well, did they bark as much as normal? And they might say, no. Okay, that's an improvement. If they say, you know, you could say, you know, did you notice any differences? Like, and you can list them, like, oh, if he normally barks, he didn't bark when someone came to the door, or if he is uncomfortable, he was comfortable. The things that they're saying, just say, did you notice any of those? And they might say, actually, somebody came to the door and he didn't bark. That's an improvement. So really what it is, it's really communication with the person that creates a more successful treatment, because the animal is going to take exactly what they want, and how they react is how they're going to react. And sometimes, you know, you're not going to be able to see that change immediately. Like I remember one distant session that Kathleen was telling me about, the dog was having a lot of issues and was a really like aggressive little Chihuahua dog. But thankfully the owner of the dog, or the pet parent, knew Reiki. And so she knew what to expect. And so she said, you know, what was really weird was this little dog, we'll call her Fluffy, usually reacts when the heater comes on. She hates the heater vent, but she stopped reacting to it. Now, she didn't let go of her aggression. She didn't let go of other things, but she let go of that. And that's a huge improvement, right? So we always want to look for these little things, because I've done a lot of distant treatments for Sarah, you know, people who have adopted animals, and I do it for free. And what normally happens is they'll go, oh yeah, I didn't notice anything. And I'll say, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. And I'll say, well, things to look for are, like if they've told me these are the problems. And I go through, well, things to look for are improvement in this and this, or anything like less barking, more relaxation, more connection with people, those kind of things. And then inevitably the people go, oh, well, you know what? Now that you say that, I noticed this changed. So it's really, it's funny because, Taya Strom, who I always highly recommend as an animal communicator, she's also a medium. And I've been to some of her medium events. And so it's really funny because she'll ask the audience, like she'll be getting a reading, like something will be coming in and she gets a reading about, like, let's say, does anyone have a silver haired, like a grandfather type who smokes a pipe, blah, 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 and nobody answers. And then after the event, somebody will come up and go, oh, I think that was my grandfather you were talking about. So it's like, people need that moment to kind of let it sink in. And sometimes it takes a day or two before. So it's always important to, after the session, just check in. Just say, hi, I'm just checking in, just making sure, did you notice any changes? And just say they could be really subtle. So, you're going to have a critical eye as the pet parent because I'm not there. Because if you were there, you could probably see some very faint signs of acceptance or some changes, right? But since it's up to them to share with you, it might be a little harder.
What if you're dealing with animals that don't have any major
problems? Well, why would they be wanting Reiki for their?
I was just thinking, because I know that we can do it in any way, shape, or form. Like here, I mean, their animals seem healthy and they want to be part of it. And Kelly had said to try to get as much experience as possible. So I don't know any animals right now that are have behavior issues or any, that have any real major problems. I know animals, and I'm like, well, so I was thinking, well, maybe I should just, what about doing a Reiki session and not telling them? But then I wouldn't be able to get any feedback. So I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, no. Okay. So thank you for explaining that. So that's a little different. So what we're going to do with that is, you're going to just tell the people that, hey, I'm going to practice. You might see these relaxation signs. So usually, and especially if you know the animal, I don't know if like you're thinking about an animal,
I do. I know.
Then they might just go to sleep. They might just deeply relax with you and go to sleep. And, so it might not be like this huge breakthrough, but the sign that they like curled up and went to sleep when you were doing your session is a really good sign. And that's what you see a lot with healthy animals. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that I think what you said is perfect to be able to say, so I'm practicing. That takes a little bit of pressure off to say, hey, I want to practice and, don't, again, you're right, the expectations of the person really are fundamental to at least for me right now, whether something is successful or not, because you guys just taught, as you said, sometimes you don't see it right away, or it takes several sessions, and then first few sessions and nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow. So that's, but the idea that I can just tell somebody, hey, I'm practicing, and I don't know if it'd be okay to say, there are no expectations, but just kind of observe your animal, and and this is, I'm not trying to change or anything, just trying to practice and be supportive and do that sort of thing. I think that would help. That I never thought about that. I was thinking like, hey, can I do this on your animal? And expecting, well, why would you want to do that? But I think if I can say, hey, I'm practicing this, would you mind?
Yeah.
And then it's not really a matter of whether you believe in Reiki, they believe in whatever, but just being supportive of me and saying, okay, do your thing.
No, absolutely. I think that also, that's why we say to practice doing distant Reiki with people, because you can get more feedback, but then people aren't as sensitive as animals, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. You can try with people, but then people might go, no, I didn't. Although, if you have somebody who's really open to the experience, they will more than likely feel something. So that's validation. But another thing I wanted to point out is like, you know, we are so stuck in like, it has to look a certain way, right? It has to be a certain way. And the people whose animals are receiving it have something in their mind. It has to be a certain way. It has to look like this. But for us as practitioners, what we need to remember is the minute we think of that animal, they feel it. They are so hyper sensitive to energy that they feel it. And, you know, I've shared my story many times about the tigers and about, you know, connecting with them, and how after a year of meditating with them, when I went back, they just, you know, it was like we were best friends, right? Because every time I connected with them, even though in my head, I felt like I was making it up, they were feeling it. And so they were joining me, even though there was zero validation from anyone telling me they were relaxing or whatever it was. I knew when I got there a year later that there's no way. I'd only spent an aggregate hour, and now all of a sudden they are like coming to me when I call their name. You know, they're treating me like one of the volunteers that sees them every single day. So I think it's really important for us to take that leap of faith and just know that when we connect, that connection is deep. And in fact, earlier this week, I saw this most amazing video about a parrot. And it was taken, I think, in 2000. It was a study where this little parrot could talk, like could say sentences. It would say like, give me a kiss. And, you know, I can't reach you. Like when he goes to kiss the girl, he says, I can't reach you. And she comes over. So they decided to do a telepathic test. And so they had the parrot, it was at their house. And so there was like only one little camera on the parrot so it wouldn't disturb him. And then the owner went downstairs, and somebody, a third party, had picked a bunch of pictures, sealed them in envelopes, numbered them, and then shuffled them up. So she didn't know when she was opening what picture, and she didn't pick the pictures. But he got some of them wrong. But for the most part, I think it was like 75%, she would open a picture, and it would be like, one was a picture of a man opening a door to a cab and someone kind of coming out, but it was just the head coming out. And he said, be careful of your head, be careful of the window. And so he was seeing it before, like when she was seeing it in real time, and he was saying what it was. Wow. And so that connection, even though, you know, obviously they're bonded, the point of it is that her thoughts, I mean, the minute, it wasn't like there was a delay, like she's looking at the picture and there's a delay of a minute. It's I'm looking at the picture, boom, you're getting it. Also, there was one where someone was on a phone and he was going beep, beep, like the answering machine, you know, someone's on a phone talking and he's like saying, you know, hello, and I can hear you, or something like that. And then there's another one where a girl was wearing a bathing suit, and as soon as she opened it up, he said, I see your naked body. I see your naked body. So, you know, and like some of them were even before she got the picture out of the envelope, he's saying these things. So we have to give animals so much more credit than we do, that when we think of them, when we connect with them, they feel it, right? It's energy. It surpasses time and space. And I think that the leap of faith that we have to make through distance sessions is realizing that we are much more connected than we give ourselves credit for. And even quantum physics, you know, proves that we're all connected. Even like if you do, like there's a Course in Miracles, it's all about getting closer to God. And God says we are all connected. We have all the same mind. So if that's true, if science, if God, if everything points to us being connected, then we have to really give animals credit when we do our distant sessions, that we are deeply connecting with them, that they're feeling it. Now, how they respond is how they respond. That does not mean they haven't connected or they haven't taken something. So hopefully that helps a little.
No, it's tremendous. It helps a lot. And I do remember your story about the tigers. I thought it was so amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, you can have that really experience at a zoo. You can go to the zoo. I know that Jamie shared her story of the ape that she had, but you can literally go to the zoo and sit and tell the tiger, tell the monkeys, whatever, I'm here and I love you. And I'm so grateful to you for all that you bring, right? Because that attitude of gratitude is really powerful. They don't hear that. And your energy is huge, right? We're 99.99999% energy and only 0.00001% matter. So you have to imagine you're this huge energy ball. And if your energy is this beautiful light and you're filled with love and joy, then the animals naturally are like, boom. And when I've taken people to the zoo in the past, it's like the animals are just boom, 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 right on you. And people are like, oh my God, like, how is this even possible? But it's possible because it's our energy, our gratitude, our light, and they see it. But we think, like humans in a crowd of people, we can never find somebody, right? But we're not finding them with energy, we're finding them with our eyes. And animals are finding us with energy. And that's how they are in the wild, right? They know immediately. You can have a panther hidden in the grass, you can't see it, but yet everyone starts to freak out because it's the energy they feel. They don't have to see that animal to be scared and to know to get out of there. So it's really incredible. Oh, Darlene, can you put your phone on mute?
Okay. Sorry, I was going to interject.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah.
If I wanted to add in, just to give some ideas of what I do for distance is, there's a couple dog rescues that I follow online, and they sometimes will get in, cases that, are pretty extreme that need some care. So what I just do is, that evening, usually like 8 or 9 o'clock, I figure, okay, that's probably a quiet time at the shelter, and I just, focus on that animal at that particular time. And the rescues that I follow too will post updates, regularly too, either like the next day or the following days, how he's doing and this and that. So, that's, kind of gives me validation that what I'm doing is working. So
I love that. Thank you for that, Darlene, because that's a really great way, Jazz, to practice. Like find a rescue that hopefully will also post updates like the animal's been adopted, so you would know, because really that's a great way.
I do have a rescue I'm very close to, and I don't know how open the owner is to it, but I do know, but I can always ask her. She gives me updates on different dogs, and so that's actually a really good way because she gets a lot of sick dogs. Thank you, darling. That's a really great way to, when she focuses on certain dogs, and I can always just email her. She always emails me back, how's, Rover doing, or how's so-and-so doing, and not necessarily saying I'm doing, but just to, that's an awesome suggestion. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I know when I was going in person to the shelter, and you'd find a dog and then they'd been there a long time, do a session with them, and then go home, do a distance session, and then they would be adopted in a couple of weeks. And it's not like we're this powerful, oh my gosh, we're causing this. What we're doing is we're supporting the animals so that they can relax. So now their true light starts to shine. Now people can see the animal they really are, instead of a stressed out, upset, shut down dog or cat or guinea pig or bunny, whatever that is. But now they feel supported, they feel seen, and they feel loved, they feel important. And that changes who they are. And I cannot tell you how many times that happened with dogs who had been in the shelter a really long time, and after getting Reiki, they're adopted. But again, it's the let animals lead method of Reiki, where we're not focusing on what's wrong, we're focusing on their perfection, and we're just supporting them. We're not healing, we're not directing anything at them. And that's where the power lies, right? Because that's the power of your distance session too. You can't focus on, oh my gosh, is this dog ever going to get, I'm going to send a power symbol, or I'm going to direct, or I'm going to beam. You can't do that, because then the animals will be like, now you're saying I'm broken. But when we say, I see you, you're beautiful, you're perfect, I'm just holding space, that makes a huge difference.
And it makes a whole lot of sense when I think of it in terms of this rescue, because she gets a lot of not just abandoned dogs, very sick, and just, you know, when I think about them, I think, and I know she, I she will give me updates. Oh, they're settling in, and just seeing that, I'm like, wow, to be able to support that, to be able to say you're safe now,
Right.
you know, you're loved.
You can't say they're going to be, you can't say they're going to be adopted, but you can say you're safe.
Just you're safe, you're happy, you're, you know, it's good now. Even, and I remember, maybe it was here that I remember reading it somewhere in the Reiki thing of talking about sometimes a very, very sick animal will come in and they'll do Reiki and they still end up dying, but they die in when, because of your love, and they
Right.
feel safe.
And that's
finally
really important to focus
I thought
on.
that was brilliant, and I thought
Yeah.
that's really beautiful. It's not about you living forever. It's about finally feeling love, finally being in a place where, like, okay, I can let go, and it's all okay. And I just thought that was really beautiful. And so thank you, Darlene. That's that just.
And I think she had. I think Darlene had one more thing to say. Darlene, did you want to add? I noticed you went on unmute. Thanks.
Oh, no, I was just going to add too that, you know, when I first started seeing these animals, I was thinking, oh my God, you know, I would just feel so sorry for the dog or the cat or whatnot. And I realized, okay, I can't feel that way. I gotta, you know, share, you know, positive, you know, feelings. And so it's like, okay, I see you, I feel you, you're loved. And, you know, it's like no sympathy. I mean, you know, to a certain extent, it's like you don't want to dwell on whatever it is they're fighting, you know, to get healthy. So, but just, you know, just trying to exude that much love and care for the animal. And, you know, it's like, I obviously don't say, you know, I know certain situations, I know that they're in a safe place, so I'll say that. But if I don't know the place, I'm not going to say you're going to be safe, because I don't know. And and like you're saying, you don't know if they're going to be adopted or if they're going to make it. But it just, in that particular moment, it's like, yes, you are loved, and, you know, I feel you and I see you.
I love that. Thank you for that. So again, I just want to go over just a couple just little pointers. So, and I'll put this in our next email as well, but just, you know, setting expectations for yourself first and foremost, right? We want to let go of all the doubt that we create within ourselves. Oh, this isn't going to work. What if they don't do it? Just let it go, because that's boundaries. That's boundaries to a clear connection. And we never want to do that. And especially after, this is really important. Don't beat yourself up afterwards, because if the animals had this beautiful session with you, right? You don't feel it maybe, but they do. And then you disconnect and you're like, oh, I can't believe when I was with Bluto, blah, 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 blah. It would be like if someone gave you a really good massage and then sat there and went, oh, this is really bad. I can't believe, oh, I messed up. And you're just like, what? That was great. But they just keep bump, bump, bump. Remember, your energy is affecting them, right? So the minute we think of them, we are connected to them. So we always just want to go, you know what? I did my best and I know that they felt it. And that's all you have to do, and just let that go. Some of the things we don't want to do when we're going to get do a session is we don't want to know any of the history. You know, we want to know, like, basically they're coming to you and they'll say, oh, you know, my dog's incessantly barking, and go, okay, yeah, that's great. Get the animal's name, maybe a photo. But we don't, if the more we know that's wrong, the more we're going to focus on, well, I hope that this helps with this. I hope this helps with that. And then afterwards, you can say, hey, you know, just, I don't know what the animal's issues are, but just, you know, make a note if you notice any change, even if it's little. If you notice that they relax more, maybe they bark less, or maybe they hiss less, or whatever it is, or maybe they're urinating less, whatever it is. You don't need to get a whole history. Just be telling them these are little things to look for. And for yourself, you always want to make sure that you're comfortable, that you're not going to have any distractions, that all your notifications are turned off. You always want to make sure you're grounded. So we'll do a little grounding technique at the end of this call, and we'll focus on that grounding that you can do. And then always, again, like I said earlier, we want to invite the animal with pure love and joy in our heart. We want to be grateful to them for who they are and for joining us. And whether or not they decide to or not, and I mean, I've never had an animal not join me coming from this space. I've always had some bit of success, and I know that you will too, because when we focus on joy and not on what's wrong, the animals want to connect to us, because this is very rare. Humans love to focus on what's wrong and how can we fix this, right? We're all broken, we all need to be fixed. Whereas with animals, if we can see them as the beautiful creatures they are, the beautiful beings that bring so much to our lives, and be grateful for that, it changes the whole dynamic. So then preparing the human, you always want to help them understand that we're just creating a meditative space. We're supporting them. We're not focusing on what's wrong. We're just giving them a beautiful, energetic space to let go and to hopefully heal some of their emotional issues on their own. It's great if the caregiver can join the session just to do some breathing. You might want to just walk them through some breath work. Sometimes people do distant sessions on Zoom, and you can just kind of walk the person through breathing. But I know, Jazz, since it's you're a little more conscientious about this than me, or not conscientious, self-conscious about this, you might not want to do that. You might just want to ask them to be with the animal, to not be like doing dishes or moving around or disrupting the animal, but the animal really needs to be nice and calm and quiet. Now, if they can't join, there's no judgment. Okay, it's just, hey, this would be ideal, but if you can't, that's fine. Make sure you advise the client, we do not give messages. We don't communicate messages. We're not using animal communication. And the simplest way to explain that is animal communication is active. You have to have a conversation with the animal. You have to validate what's being told. With animal Reiki, it's completely passive. So those are the two differences. And we do not ever mix the two, because you can see why. If you do animal communication and animal Reiki, you're not doing that 100%. And if you do animal Reiki and try to bring in animal communication, you're not giving 100% to your animal Reiki. So, and again, animal Reiki is so passive and it's quiet. And then all of a sudden, if you get a message, if the animal just shows you something, if you go, oh, do you want to talk about that? And you start asking questions, now you're out of the Reiki space. Now you're starting a conversation, and animals can sometimes go, wait, this is confusing. I thought we were going to relax, and now you want to have a conversation. So it's just like if you were having a massage, and we've all done this, we have massages or we get facials and we want to relax, and the person who's doing the service starts to talk and talks endlessly. And you're like, oh my gosh. So imagine that for the animal too. We don't want to be talking. And then once the session ends, just tell them to make sure that the animal has water, pay attention to any little signs, and they can be really non-obvious, right? And like all the ones that I said, barking less, and maybe they sleep more. If they didn't normally sleep, older animals, they're always going to sleep. So that's not a great one if it's an older animal, but a younger animal, if you notice, hey, maybe they're taking naps more, maybe they're relaxing more, anything that deviates from their normal behavior that the people want to change. And by sharing this, the clients are going to see it differently. You're going to see it differently, right? It's all about setting expectations. You might want to explain more in detail the Let Animals Lead method. We have lots of handouts, even on the Shelter Animal Reiki Association site. You can download information about that if you're not a member, but as members, Darlene and Jazz, you have access to all kinds of information that you can share, including our brochures. And then make sure you tell them what you don't do. You don't diagnose, you don't prescribe medications, you don't perform medical treatments, you don't interfere with the prescribed treatment of a vet. And that's really important, because we want vets to know that we are not here to interfere. We're here to support what they're prescribing for their clients. And then, go ahead, Jess. Yeah.
I think, a couple of things. This is perfect because it coincided with the last week in Reiki 2.
Yeah.
In the handout. But one thing I wanted to say is that there's a dog teacher I really admire, and she said, and one of the talks she had recently was, sometimes we see behavior, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the actual problem. And it just underscores what you were saying, to not focus on the behavior, say barking. Maybe that barking or digging, that's not actually the problem. It could be anxiety or stress or whatever. And we don't know that. And it just underscores what you're saying. Just focus on the well-being of the animal, because those things could be symptoms, not actual problems. You know, if I simply thought, don't bark so much, or don't dig so much, whatever, that may not help, because that may not actually be the problem. So, anyway.
Absolutely. I think that that's a really good point, because we're not, I mean, maybe some people who do animal Reiki are behaviorists and they can talk a little bit more about that. But for most of us, if you're not a behaviorist, it's always really good to say, you know, you might want to consider a behaviorist, because, you know, I've shared this before. My dog was dog aggressive, and it didn't matter how much Reiki he got, he was still going to be dog aggressive. It just is what it is. I mean, my one pit bull, he's huge and he is very dog aggressive, and he can get a massage and Reiki and be so relaxed, and a dog walks by the window and everything, all bets are off. You know, it hasn't done anything. So it's not like I'm a bad practitioner. It's just that some issues are so deeply ingrained that they may not be helped with just Reiki. But with a behaviorist, with correction, then maybe it can be. You know, we don't really focus on that. He's old, he's like 13. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm not going to try and change him. We got him when he was 10. So we tried to change him, and we went to a behaviorist and a trainer, and he's an old pit bull, and it was ingrained in him. He was in the shelter for over a year, and he had been in a backyard before that. So, you know, he has some deep set issues. Those deep set issues are very hard to heal, but just allowing him that space to relax and to let go is very healing for him, and he loves it, and he appreciates it. So, you know, it's just even that bonding time together means something. We don't have to see a huge result to know that feels good. It's just like, again, I'm going to keep going on the massage. If we go in for a massage, the masseuse gives us a beautiful time. Well, it's not her fault if we then leave, go out in traffic and start screaming at somebody, you know, and we let the whole thing go. Doesn't mean that she didn't do a good job. It just means that we aren't ready to stay relaxed. You know, we have other issues that haven't been cured by our massage. So it's the same thing with animals. And I think it's really important to stay aware of that, right? So did you have anything else, Jess? Because I was going to keep on, but I don't want to interrupt you. And I don't want to be like old school TV where you can't interrupt and say something. And so, you know, also you want to eliminate distractions. You want to ask the people to eliminate distractions for the animal, right? You don't want to have constant interruptions. You don't want to have, you know, like I said earlier, a bunch of kids playing and we're trying to get the dog or the cat to settle down. We just want them to be in a comfortable place where they're not going to feel trapped, right? So you don't want the person to go, oh, well, I'll just put them in this back room, when really the back room is not conducive to relaxation for them, where they feel really scared in the back room or they feel anxious because they're away from the people. So you just want to tell them that the dog just needs to be somewhere where they feel really good, or the cat. I always say dogs because obviously that's my thing, but and then of course, you know, we're going to ask them to participate, but we don't they don't need to. I mean, it's always ideal because usually the problem is the person and not necessarily the animal. So again, teaching the person just a really easy breath is really nice, because you can just tell them, just focus on your breath, and then give them the all is well mantra. So we're going to practice that in a minute. I'm going to just go through this a little bit more. So, it's healing shifts. Now we haven't really talked about healing shifts. Sometimes, and this is funny, I remember there was an article and the cat threw up. It got Reiki, it threw up, and the people were like, oh, Reiki makes cats throw up, it's really bad. Well, they were probably cornering the cat. The cat was probably anxious, cat probably threw up because of that. But there are healing shifts, just like people experience healing shifts. So, you know, you might start coughing, or, you know, you might get flushed, you might get a cold. I mean, you know, your body is trying to let go of stuff. And so for animals, it can be the same way. They might have, it might be like, oh my gosh, my animal got worse. And you just keep sending the support, because a lot of times they're just clearing it, you know, like just like with humans. So that's an important distinction too. Like if something happens, so it's always, again, communication is what is going to be the difference between a good session and a not so good session. You want to have communication with the people, and also, you know, just setting your expectations, setting their expectations. That's so important. So those are my simple tricks, even though they seemed really complicated. It's just making sure you set your expectations, but communicating with the people so that their expectations are also set, and so that you prepare them for sharing information with you. And that can be the difference. So Jazz, I would love to hear just really quickly, because I want to do the meditation, but really quickly, if you feel now, knowing all that I shared with you, if you feel a little more empowered to possibly do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I'm actually really excited now.
Great.
Especially with Darlene's suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, that just would make me so happy to give these rescue dogs anything they can. You know, I just, yeah, and it would make, yeah. So I'm actually totally excited about it now. And if you ever do this one again, you should label it how to do a successful distance session, and add the tag, yes, you can do it.
Right, I will do that in the email.
I really did think I was gonna, you know, I'm like, well, I'll just listen because I'd like to hear you guys talk, and you guys, I always get to do it, but this turned out to be so perfect. Like, oh my God, really? So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. That makes me so happy that you feel empowered, because that's what this is all about. You know, we have this amazing gift. We do lots of training so that we can be good. And it's so important that we feel comfortable and that we share it, because the animals need us to, right? Just think about how many dogs and cats you can help by supporting your shelter through this, you know, energetic support. And you don't even have to go in there, right? You can just do it.
Well, my friend's in a completely different state, so, but I, you know, yeah, I'm so excited about this because I feel like it's something that would really help her and her rescue, and I just want to be so supportive of it because it's one I've been supporting for a few years. So that is, yeah, thank you.
Like, yeah, and it's, you know, and again, it's so important because these animals really need support, and the people that help these animals need support, right? So it's like, even she needs some of this energetic support. So maybe you can include her as well.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so let's do a little bit of grounding. And so this is something that you can share with the person, right? So we always want our backs to be straight. And for us, you know, we always go into Gasho because it just really helps us center ourselves, and we close our eyes and we can just set our intention. And set your intention, you know, if you're going to talk to the people, just set your intention that your words are going to flow and that you're going to be able to communicate, you know, what they need to hear, and that your intention is that you say everything with love and compassion. And so when you've set your intention, you can just walk them through and say, you know, what I'd like you to do is sit up straight, have your back straight, have them close their eyes, and tell them we close our eyes because by closing our eyes, we're blocking out all distractions. And then you can just walk them through breathing in gently through their nose and pulling their breath deep into their belly, expanding their belly. And on the out breath, just slowly releasing out their nose. And just ask that they continue this gentle breath. And as they're breathing, you can tell them that on their out breath, to start feeling all tension and stress leaving your body. Feel your jaw relax, your neck relax, your shoulders start to slump. Feel your chest open. Feel any tightness in your ribs or your stomach fading away with each out breath. Breathing in love and joy, and breathing out any tension and stress. And if your mind gets distracted, repeat a simple mantra, which is all is well. And this mantra can be stated to yourself silently, or you can gently say it, breathing in and then breathing out, all is well. Breathing in through your nose, expanding your belly, and then all is well. And this is a wonderful breath to use when you sit next to your animal as they get their distance session, letting go of all expectation of what the session should look like, and enjoying this beautiful space that you and your animal will create together. And so you just walk them through that, and then reminding them that if their mind starts to wander, to go back to all is well. And then, you would do your session. But since we're in this beautiful meditative state now, I'm just going to walk us through a really nice meditation that we can end. But I wanted to kind of give you like a script that you can use to share with them. And again, just telling them that this breath they're doing, the space that they're creating, their animal is picking up on it. And so they can share that as they breathe and sit quietly with them. And it's a really beautiful space to share with their animals. And it's a nice way for them to relax. So now I'm going to go back in, and we're going to keep with our breath, that very gentle hara breathing, our belly breath, our breath of light. Breathing in, pulling the breath deep into our belly, igniting that beautiful light within us. And on the out breath, expanding that light through our belly, into our chest, and out our nose. With every breath in, the light grows brighter and brighter within us, traveling down our legs, into our calves. And every out breath, our light starts to push out our skin, out every cell of our body, and into the space around us. As we breathe in and out, this light envelops us, coming from us deep inside and seeping out into the space around us. This is our own unique healing light. And it's the light that gives us strength, confidence. It fuels our love and our joy. Now, as we sit here, I'd love you to imagine or bring to mind an animal that you love deeply. And see that animal's beautiful light. See their light emanating from their heart. Feel your heart sing with joy at the visualization of this animal. Feel yourself become lighter and more joyful. And this beautiful space, become one with your animal. Feel their love for you deep inside your heart. Feel your heart mirroring back that love. This is a beautiful space of connection. And this is a beautiful way to connect with any animal, whether this animal is here with us today whether the animal is past, even for your distant session. In this space, we connect deeply with our animals. Let's take a moment and really sink into this beautiful feeling of love, joy, and compassion. And before we go, I just want to say the precepts as we close. For today only, do not anger, do not worry, be grateful, be humble, show compassion to yourself and to others. I'd like you to start focusing on your breath again, but keep with you this beautiful space you've created with your animal, knowing they're always with you, always there to support you, always there to give you that extra boost of love. And breathe a little deeper. Maybe breathe out your mouth. You can wiggle your hands, rub your hands together, wiggle your fingers, not your hand. And slowly bring yourself back. This is such a beautiful way to end our discussions. I love that we do these meditations. And I hope that you felt relaxed and connected. And I hope that this talk really helps you feel empowered to go and do these distance sessions. And even Jazz, eventually, you know, after you do maybe like 100 hours, you start charging. And that would be really amazing. We need to start normalizing that.
Yeah, I just want to be happy. I just want experience. I just want to put my hours in because I know that that's the key. It's really, you know, I'll go one step at a time. I just want to get the experience and I'm so far to go, but I'm learning a lot. So thank you guys for all your support.
Well, and I can't wait to hear how it goes with the rescue dogs. You know, obviously nothing might happen right away, but maybe in a month you'll have
you start doing a journal, like Kelly had said. You know, even if I'm not getting feedback, I still want to just for myself, just to you know, maybe I'll feel something, maybe I won't, but it would still be interesting for me to chart my journey because I'm really starting from scratch, and it would be interesting, you know, maybe months or years later to go back and wow, that was really difficult. And yeah, I'm just super excited about it. So thank you. This is a perfect session, and the timing is perfect. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, I'm so glad you decided to stay, and I'm sorry for the Facebook people. I don't know what to say. Darlene, thank you so much for sharing. That was just so powerful, and I'm so glad. This is what I love about our community. You know, we all have things that we do, and we share them, and so that's really wonderful. So thank you so much, Darlene.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll see you tonight in class.
Yep. We'll see you tonight.
All right, bye, everyone. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, Jazz.